Hi, today we're going to have a look at Venn diagrams and the addition theorem. In our textbook, this will relate back into exercise 10D, and we'll have a look through some of the notes that I've got in the OneNote for that in a moment. So in your booklets and your actual notes that you're working on in class, and come under this heading, the first thing we want to have a look at are mutually exclusive events. Now, two events are mutually exclusive. I might just highlight that for us. If they can not both occur, or not both occur with the same sets of information in it. And I'll have a look at an example in a minute. So we would say that probability of A or B in this case would be equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B. Okay, a really good example of mutually exclusive events would be example number 10 here, that says if a die is thrown, find the probability that it is less than 3 or greater than 4. So the numbers less than 3 and the numbers that are greater than 4 don't overlap. There's no linkage. There's no numbers that occur in both of those sets. So we would call those mutually exclusive. So we think of a dice. It has 6 sides. So the probability that a number is less than 3, we think of that, we've got 1 or a 2. So there's 2 possibilities out of 6. So we'd have that being 2 6. The probability that it is greater than 4. So our options there are 5 or 6. So we have, again, 2 numbers or 2 out of 6. So we would write this as the probability of less than 3 or the probability of greater than 4 would be 2 6 plus 2 6, which is 4 6. And that breaks down to 2/3. Okay. Example 11 here. This is not in your notebook, but this is in our textbook. So it's example 11 in chapter 10 in the textbook, and this appears in the OneNote as well. So it says, if a card is drawn at random from a standard pack, and that would be a standard pack of 52 cards, find the probability that it is a red card or a spade. Now this also is a mutually exclusive event because we could have red cards, or we could have a spade, which is not a red card. A spade is a black card. So they don't overlap, and there's no data that falls into both the red card category and the spade category. So what we would do to work that out, we would work out the probability of the red plus the probability of the spade. The probability of getting a red card, well, that's straight up. You can think of that as a half, or you can think of that as 26 out of 52, which breaks down to a half, because the red cards are the diamonds or the spades, and that's half a pack. The probability of a spade. Well, if we think of what the cards look like, the spades are one of the suites of the cards, and that's a quarter of the pack. So straight up, we can break that down to a quarter. A half plus a quarter is 3/4. So that's a really good example of a mutually exclusive event. 12 down here is another great example of a mutually exclusive event that is happening in stages. Now, before we start this one, what I want you to think about, and I mentioned this in class today, is wherever possible in a probability question, wherever you possibly can, I want you to either draw a Venn diagram or a tree diagram, if at all possible, because I think that will allow us to easily find out the sample space and find out your answers a lot easier without so much error. So I want to do that for this question. And the question here, example 12, says, if 3 coins are tossed, find the probability of throwing an odd number of tails. So if we were throwing an odd number of tails, sorry, I've just jumped out of there, in 3 tosses, then we would either have 1 tail or we would have 3 tails. And here's the options that you would have, okay? But you may not straight up be able to think of what that would look like. So I'm going to go straight over and draw a tree diagram, which I've already done here. In our tree diagram, we are having 3 coins because the question said 3 coins are tossed. So our first coin is shown as a head or a tail. Our second coin branches off our head and a tail, and off our tails another head or a tail. So we've got our first coin information, then it grows when we have a second coin, and it grows again for our third coin. So off each of our parts of the second coin, we grow another head or a tail off each of those. So we've got our first, second, and third coin. And if we read along each of the branches of our tree, we will get our outcomes. So written in red at the end here are all the possible outcomes. So I'll just read a couple off. So the first one, we would have got a head, and a head. And I've written that down there. a head, and a tail. So HHT. And we can read off each of those arms or each of the branches until we get to the bottom, and we'd end up with a tail, and a tail. So these are our outcomes. So to work out this question, I want to read that again. It says, if 3 coins are tossed, find the probability of throwing an odd number of tails. So that's 1 tail or 3 tails. So in this case, what we've got is 1 tail here. So I've ticked that one. Another tail here. So we've got this one here. We've got this one here. There's another tail there. And lucky last, we have 3 tails down the bottom. So that's our third one. So that's the options that we've got for throwing an odd number of tails. I've ticked them down here in our tree diagram. They would also match those top 3, the 3 numbers we had written over here, and the bottom one would be this one here. So if you can do it without a tree diagram, that's okay. I still like to draw it, and I'd really think that it's going to help you if you draw that. Okay, so we had to work out the probability. So a probability would be looking at our sample space. Let's count how many we've got highlighted or how many ticks we've got, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4, and a total of, in our sample space was, I think it was 8. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 4 out of 8, which is a half. Now, if you wanted to break that up into the 2 sections, it's a probability of A or a probability of B, we'd end up with 3 that had 1 tail in it out of 8 and 1 that had 3 tails. And so we've still got 4 out of 8. We've just split it up into the 2, but our final answer for that one would be a half. Okay, so I've jumped back over to our notes here. We're going to now have a little look at non-mutually exclusive events. And these are 2 overlapping events are non-mutually exclusive. Sorry, 2 overlapping events are non-mutually exclusive. The way I think of it is they have events in common. So there's going to be some overlap. Now there's an addition rule that we can use for this one. And the addition rule says that the probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. Now that's a rule that is going to be handy to use, and I'll explain a little bit more in a second, but wherever possible, we still want to try and draw our information into a Venn diagram or a tree diagram, and if we can't do that, then we'll rely a little bit more on that rule. What I wanted to talk to you about that rule is, and it's stated nicely over at 10D in the OneNote, I guess about why we have to take away the A and the B, and it has to relate to our Venn diagrams. So if I want to look and work out what the probability of A union B is in this case, and I'm working out the probability of A and the probability of B, if I don't take away the probability of A and B, which is the intersection, I'm going to be counting it twice. And I might draw a little Venn diagram for us. Okay, so I've just drawn a little Venn diagram here down below. Now the probability of A would encompass all the information in here. And that includes the overlap in the middle, that is the probability of A and B. So if I was to also then, I'll grab another colour and I'll grab that as yellow, work out the probability of B, that also includes the overlap section. So if I was working out in my rule up here, the probability of A union B was the probability of A plus the probability of B, what I've done is I've counted that green bit in the centre twice because it's in the A's part and it's in the B part. So I've had to take away one of the intersection pieces in the middle to get it to work. And that's why we've done that, so that we don't count that intersection twice. Okay, so a good example of events that are non-mutually exclusive is the next example in your booklet, which is looking about a class of 30 girls playing tennis and netball. I'm going to jump over and I've got the answers already prepped in the OneNote, so we'll work through that there instead, and you can write that in your booklet. So in a class of 30 girls, 13 play tennis, 23 play netball, and 7 girls play both sports. What is the probability that a girl chosen at random plays neither sport? Now, as I said before, we could draw this in a Venn diagram to start with, and that's what we're going to do, but we could also do it without it. So I'm going to look at it both ways. So let's draw that Venn diagram down the bottom here. here it is here. So we've got T for tennis, N for netball. It's all boxed in, and we've got our 2 overlapping circles. So it says 13 play tennis, but 7 girls play both. So I need to take 13, take off the 7, which is in our overlap in the center, and I'm going to be left with 6. So 13, take away that 7 gives me 6. All up, 7 and 6 give us 13, which are the tennis girls. And we're going to do the same with the netball. Netball, all up, we know we had 23, but 7 also play tennis. So that 7 and 16 there need to add up to 23. So I've just gone 23 take away 7 gives me that 16. Now, if I add all of those numbers up together, the girls that play tennis and netball, I end up with 6 plus 7 plus 16, and I end up with 29 girls. But all up, we were told we had 30 girls. So all up, there's a number 1 down there, and that 1 tells me that that is 1 girl that plays neither tennis nor netball nor both. So that's that 1 girl. Now let's go and read the question again. So I've got the numbers in the right spot. We've got the girls in our Venn diagrams in the right area, and the question says, what is the probability that a girl chosen at random plays neither sport? We've already got the answer in our Venn diagram. That is our number 1 on the outside. That's 1 out of 30. That's our answer. That's using a Venn diagram. But what if we didn't use a Venn diagram? Let's go and have a look at how we do that. Okay, and that's what the red writing is up here. So the probability that a girl plays tennis is 13 out of 30. So we've got that fraction. The probability that a girl plays netball is 23 out of 30. And the probability that they play both sports, so that's our intersection, or T and N, that's the part that we had in the middle of our Venn diagram, is 7 out of 30. Now, if we want to work out what the probability that a girl chosen at random plays neither sport, what we need to do is do a little bit of maths here. And we first of all want to figure out what the union is. So the union of tennis and netball is tennis union netball, and we write that as the probability of tennis plus the probability of netball minus the probability of tennis and netball. That's using that algorithm we just had a look at previously. So that would be 13 over 30 plus 23 over 30 minus 7 over 30, and we get 29 over 30. I'm remembering we're using that algorithm and taking off the T and N at the end because we don't want to count that twice. So the probability of a girl playing tennis or a girl playing netball is 29 out of 30. But we want to figure out that they play neither sport. So the probability that they play neither sport is going to be 1 minus the probability that they play tennis or netball. So that's going to be 1 minus 29 out of 30, which is 1 out of 30. So that's how we would do that without the Venn diagram using our counting rule. So I think we need to know how to do both. The Venn diagram is a lot easier, but you're not going to be able to use that for all our information or for all our questions. Okay, so in exercise 10D, question 10 and 11 is one that I thought would be good to have a look at. And it's talking about during a game, 21 members of the Australian rules football team consume liquid. Some players drink only water, some only drink Gatorade, and some drink both. There are 14 players who drink water and 17 who drink Gatorade. We need to figure out to start with how many drink both water and Gatorade. So if we were to draw that in a Venn diagram, that would be our intersection in the center. That would be our and, the water and Gatorade part. We don't have any information for that to start with. So we need to figure out how we might come up with an algorithm to get that to work. So algebra is needed. So what I've done is I've allocated X for that intersection. And I know how many drink water, and that's going to be 14. But to figure out who drinks water alone, I need to have a 14 minus X in there. 17 drink Gatorade, but Gatorade alone would be 17 minus X. And all of that added together would be equal to 21. So I can make an algorithm for that, which tells me that 14 minus X plus 17 minus X must equal 21. So if I work through that, gathering like terms and getting our unknown on one side, I end up with X equal to 10. So you need to stop the video and have a little look through that. And that's our first one. How many drink both water and Gatorade? That's 10. Okay, so that now allows me to go back to the Venn diagram. And I know now that 14 minus 10 is 4. So I'm going to have a 4 in that side. And 17 minus 10 is 7. The middle is 10. So that'll allow me to go and work out the other questions, which I've got the solutions for there. And that will allow question 11 to be done the same way. Okay, so back in the OneNote, there's another great example, example 14, I want you to have a look at in exercise, the notes on 10D in the OneNote.